working on our quiz corrections. I want you to get those out. Either they're done, you could theoretically, if you don't need to use them anymore, turn them in today, or they're not done and you need to finish them today. So grab out your quiz and corrections. If they are safely stored away and they are totally done, you can go back to my desk in a moment when we start working and getting work done to get them stapled. Yeah, real fast. You can't reserve them because technically you're supposed to have one in your supply list. You can come as early as possible, and then you can grab one if it's still up there, or you can ask a friend. That way you don't have to stress about getting one in mine and be able to know what it looks like, etc. But I don't reserve mine ahead of time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So your correction paper is out along with your quiz. If you're totally done with your corrections in a moment, you get to go staple them and have them ready to turn in. And if you want to be safe and not lose it, and you've already studied from it as much as possible, you will put it in the tray once I let you guys start moving around. I am going to go ahead and quickly go over section 2 and 3 of the quiz corrections. Whoever wants to hear it can come up to the front, but it'll be fast. Section 1 was the hard one. Angel. Section 1 was the hard one. For those of you guys that left and didn't stay and finish with me, numbers 4 and 5, it's on the video from yesterday. That's why I told you I'm not going to explain those again. Even if you come after school, I won't explain them to you if you have not watched the video yet, because I went through the explanation at the beginning of lunch. Once I explain sections 2 and 3 of the quiz corrections, then theoretically we're done with section 9.1 to 9.3 review. How do you prove to yourself that you know it? Work on the chapter review. After the correction, work on the chapter review. You can do, Griffin, I see you, put your hand up. So sections 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 are the first 3 parts. Here we go. Are the first 3 parts of the review. Now guys, if you notice, I know it's weird the way it's written, but it's for a very important reason. 9.1, I like all the review problems. Only the odds are required. 9.2, I only like number 12. Eyes up here. So in 9.1, I like all of the 1 through 8 review problems. You only have to do the odds, evens, or bonus. 9.2, I only like number 12. So number 12 is a required review problem, but no other problems from section 9.2 in the book. 9.3, I like most of those review problems, but I still kind of had to cut it down. 9.4, I'm going to cut that one down as well. 9.5, 9.6, I like them all. So the reason why I have those written that way is because there are some problems you do not need to try, you do not need to study, you do not need to even think about for the testimony. So right now, before we start any more class, I need to answer a couple of questions. If you do not have this written down somewhere, because we're working today, well, you can take a picture, but we're working on it today. So get out a piece of paper, and if you haven't started this homework yet, write that assignment down. This is the homework tonight, the chapter review, but you need those numbers so you know which ones to look at and which ones to ignore.
Is that due today?
So that's the one due tomorrow. That's the one due tomorrow. Homework number 58 is back on the board, but it looks all confusing. Write it down on your paper now so you have it. What was your question? Does anybody else need more correction papers? Anybody else want another one? Just in case? You're passing one back to you. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to convince you don't lose them and you're done and you don't need to study, or you want to take a couple pictures to study tonight, you can turn it in the back tray that way you go. But if you're not done, you have until tomorrow to turn these in. It doesn't have to happen. Give me 1 second. Alright, so kiddos, you're writing down your chapter review. Angel, do you have this written down on your paper? So make sure you have this written down. We're going to be working on this today. Because the first part of the review is, do I really know 9.1, 9.2, 9.3? Even after I do corrections, can I do it still myself? And then we have to make sure we know 9.4, 9.5, 9.6. I know it's weird, but why did I do that? Because I like all the problems, 20 through 22. So if you want to do bonus, do 20 and 22. Does that make sense? You only have to do 23. But if you want the bonus, you have to do 20 and 22. So I like all 3 of them. Good question. That's why I was explaining. Alright, as you guys finish writing this, let me go ahead and get that quiz open from yesterday for the corrections so we can go over sections 2 and 3. But once again, like yesterday, we're going to really try to protect our time today and use it wisely and well. You can't try if you don't want to study from it tonight. So once we get going, guys, we're just going to keep going. We're going to eventually get to a time where you are working by yourself. We're going to eventually get to a time in class where you're working by yourself, and you can raise your hand, and then I'll either call you up or I'll come to you to answer your question. There's not going to be any crazy forming of lines up here. There's not going to be any like, ooh, we're going to study through it and study. And we're just going to quietly work on our own and see where we get stuck, where you get stuck individually on your own, because that's tomorrow. You do the test, and that's it. Ian, just help with the review. If a few of you want to borrow calculators to do the review today, I'll let you do that in a second, but you have to get it back to me, okay? Alright, real quick, if anyone wants to borrow a calculator for today and doing the review, come on up and grab one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was asking Mary.
Oh. Oh, that's good. Once we transition to individual work. Diego, we have this test and then a test chapter 10.
Right.
It might be like a review quiz or two just to make sure you guys are working. But it's not going to be Alright, kiddos. Let's go ahead and pray real quick, because once again, we need it today to be productive. A few of you guys are scared about the test tomorrow, and if you're not, maybe you should be, because there's a lot going on. So let's pray that today is good and helps us get a better grade tomorrow. Sound good?
Yeah.
Lord, we pray for strength, we pray for grace right now, that we can focus our attention to do what we need to do, which is preparing for this test tomorrow, Lord. I want the kids to do well, hopefully they want to do well, so we just pray that we can do our best for your Lord Jesus' name. Amen. All right, cool kids. So, right now, what I'm going to do is anyone who wants to just start on the review right away, or keep working on the review, I'm going to have you move to the back 2 rows or even the very back row. Anyone who wants to go over sections 2 or 3 of the quiz, stay in the front. Because we're going to quickly go over sections 2 and 3 of the quiz. If you're done and don't want to study from it, yeah, go put it in the tray.
Yeah.
If you're in the back, yes, but I don't want any shared headphones today. It makes sense.
Great, turn it down. Here, Barry, you can my book.
But Rob gets music. Do you, okay?
I bought the book for you.
Thanks for asking. Alright, kids in the front. Hey, kids in the back, you're going to lose the opportunity if you don't be quiet and sit down. No shared headphones today. You yourself work on what's important for you. You do not need sections 2 and 3 in the review. You're in the back. Sorry, on the quiz question. You're in the back and you're quiet. You're in the back and you're quiet. Okay, otherwise I'm going to talk about sections 2 and 3. Okay? Alright, here we go. In section 2, did any of the directions or the problems say look for the x-intercepts? No. That's what made it hard. It just said use the graph to solve. But what do you have to tie together? When it says use the graph to solve, the zeros of a graph are the same thing as the x-intercepts. The points where it hits the x-axis. So where does this parabola hit the x-axis? The zeros. Where does it? Exactly. So for number 6, this one I'm not putting in the blank. X equals 3 and 4. If you look at the equation, they're only x's. So 3 and 4. We're just looking for the x. Because if you look at the equation, they're only x's, no y's. So then you guys answer for number 7. What's the answer for number 7? That's it. And there's only one answer because it only hits 1 at 2. Now, question, real quick. What if I was to show a parabola here? How many zeros? None. No. Careful, don't say x equals 0, say none. Does that make sense? Yeah. You do 0 with a slash. Okay, so that's section 2. If you're using a graph, you're looking for what? The intersects. The x intersects. The zeros, yeah. Looking for where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, last but not least, the final section. That one got kind of hard. People in the back, you got to be quietly working on the review. If you're not working on the review, you're going to come join us in the front. You can only be in the back and have music in if you're working. Okay, so then, the directions tell us everything we need to know. How are they expecting us to solve, guys? Now, real quick. What is a square root used to undo? A squared, right? So a square root can undo a squared. But here's the problem. Look at our first equation. Is the squared by itself? No, what's in front? A 3. So we're going to divide both sides by 3 first. Because I want the squared alone.
X squared.
So x squared equals, now you might need to use your calculator for this. 81 divided by 3 is 27. We want the square root to get rid of the square of both sides. But the problem is when we put it on both sides, anytime you have square root, you put in square root of a positive number. How many answers? 2. Because we need to put plus or minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something you need to know though. When you take the square root of a positive number, when you put it in, it could be positive or negative. 2 answers. Now here's the struggle. Do we know this square root? Okay, hold on. If you have a calculator in front of you, you can learn how to use it.
Second square root.
5.2 if we round to the nearest tenth. And don't worry, tomorrow I'll have directions if it's necessary. And I'll say round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay? I forgot to in the quiz. So then, we're done. X is alone. So I want you guys, if you haven't yet, or if you made a mistake on your quiz, try to solve number 9. We got to get the x squared alone first. You have to take the square root out. Because it's technically 5.18926. Yeah, but if I say round to nearest 10, we can use calculator. Does that make sense? Wait, no. Illegal. You have to move. Are you on this one or this one? This one. Yeah, the rest. Same thing. But you plus minus. Yeah, both. So question, guys, what did you do first to get x squared alone? Good. So I end up with 3x squared equals 27. Then I agree with you, Jay, divide by 3. Put in a radical on both sides, plus or minus. Do you remember this time? So x equals, do we know this square root? We know that square root. The square root of 9 is 3. Now wait, if you don't know the square root, can you do that in your calculator? Yeah. Square root of 9 is 3. People in the back, if you're not being productive. No, it's okay. You're not being productive. I'm just asking you to focus. If you are, then just try. In number 10, do we move something first or do we square root first? The squared is all ready to go. Something squared is ready for a square root right away. 7. It's a weird fraction. Some of you got scared of the real fraction, but you didn't need to. I like fractions. What's the square root of 81? Now wait. We need to keep going. How do we keep going with 2 numbers?
Oh, you split them.
I make 2 different equations.
Yep, I remember that.
So I make one equation with the positive 9, and I make one equation with the
Negative 9.
That's what's easiest on your brain. You don't want to make things hard on your brain. It's already working hard. So one with a positive 9, one with a negative 9. Now we just solve algebra. which says, how do we get to x? Subtract the 2, right?
Oh.
Subtract the 2 first. And the crazy thing is, you have to subtract 2 from both equations. It's the same step. But what's different over here? You have 3x. And what's negative 9 minus 2? Negative 11. For those of you that don't, remember minus is adding a negative. A negative and a negative, when adding, just becomes more negative.
Is it fine using fractions anyway?
Yeah, I actually like fractions better. They're nicer than decimals. So we're going to end up with x equals 7/3. You could get a decimal. And then this one we have to divide by 3. Divide by 3. We end up with negative 11/3. So if you did a decimal, if you did this in your calculator, you would get 2.3, and that's okay. Or you would get 3.67. Negative 3.7. Even.
I was wondering if you could go over the bonus.
Yeah, it was tricky. I don't mind
Yeah,
going over the bonus.
yes.
Right, Jay, wait, hold on. We're going to find that bonus. Now we're going to talk about the bonus real fast. Do you guys need a picture of anything up there? No, you're okay.
I
So let's
get it.
go ahead. Let's look at the bonus.
First section, I'm just like.
Well, the bonus is from the first section because it's rough. So let's see if we can figure out this bonus because it was a harder first section problem. I move it up here.
So, wait, was that from 9.1?
Yeah, the bonus was from 9.1. It was a harder 9.1. Do you guys remember how? It's okay. When you have division, just like with multiplication, we can do division top and division of the bottom. Sorry, square root of the top and square root of the bottom. Yeah, you have to do that. That's how square roots work. So up top, if we have a multiplication, we can split them up, and down here with division, we can split them up.
Okay.
Now we need to simplify the top, simplify the bottom.
So if there's two pairs of something, can you pull them both out?
Yes.
So you could like an 18.
Well, in 18, I'm going to think about 18 as being 2 times 9.
Oh, I'm thinking it was 3.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then this one I'm going to think of as 5 times 5.
Oh, so you just break it down.
I break it down.
Break it down.
Gotta see if there's any square roots in there, any squares.
In the Y, so it'll be Y squared.
So to help it down,
Yeah. There's pairs.
well see, there's a pair in the 9 also. So I'm going to actually make it 2 times 3 times 3. Because now I can see a pair there, a pair of 5s,
Pair of
and
Y.
2 pairs of 1s.
Oh, you wouldn't just be one big pair.
No, because I have 2. Now, we can go ahead and split this up and say, alright, so we have a square root of 2, a square root of 3 squared, right? We got a pair of 3's.
Square root of X.
Square root of x. That's the top. On the bottom, we have a square root of 5 squared, right? Square root of, and as Jay's saying, we are going to have 2 pairs
Of Y squared.
of y's. So we have a y squared and a y squared. Now, what's cool about a square root and a square?
You cross them all out.
It brings whoever's underneath outside the house. It brings whoever's underneath. And if it helps, you can circle and say it's just a 3, not a square root of 3. Just a 5. Just a 1. Just a
Y.
So then, on top, who's under the house and who's outside?
2X.
2x is under,
3 is outside.
3 is out.
outside.
And
And
it's
it's
5
5.
Y squared.
5 squared.
5, careful, 5 y times y?
Y times Y.
Which is
Square.
y squared. Wow. Guys, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Got it.
As far as you can go.
Does that make more sense?
I got one thing wrong.
Doesn't she make you feel bad?
The top box.
Doesn't she make you feel bad?
Oh, when there's 2. Make sure you play opposite side.
They'll say put love. Cross the street. Then you just move right over.
Square root That's correct.
See, it's like we know tomorrow we're like.
Okay, guys, if you're done with corrections, why don't you go back and staple them? You can hold on to them to study for tonight. If you want to ask any personal questions about your
I do.
problem, that's
I
cool.
ask, like,
I might have you raise your hand in a second, but yeah. Hold on.
Next step, we sign the.
Oh, we'll talk about that too. So if you guys are ready, you can go back and staple the corrections. Otherwise, some of you are ready just to start reviewing. So you need to be working on the review. Jay, if you don't have a book, go sit next to someone who does, take a picture of it, and just be working on the review, okay? The rest of you guys, if you started the review, keep working. If you haven't started the review.
Actually, no, never mind. Never mind.
Josh, was it a problem or was it?
Yeah, it was a problem that we already did. I was just wanted to make sure how to do it. But since you said that it was on the video, I just
Because I explained it.
Or even like I wrote it down, I just want to make sure. Wow. Why are you using a Facebook? Oh.
These are
No.
simplifying. Solving the graphs. And these are
There you go.
solving, here you go. Solving with square roots, that's the last one. Alright, now, no, that's good, hold on. Now I'm available to anyone and everyone as far as if you have a problem, a type of problem you're stuck on that you want to ask, maybe it's in the review, maybe it's on the quiz, I just need you to stay in your seat, no lines following. Stay in your seat and raise your hand and I'll come. Stay in your seat, raise your hand. Josh did technically ask me first. If any of you guys want to turn in your reviews or your corrections, you can turn them into that tray in the back so you don't lose them. But you might want to study them tonight.
What's your
question? Angel, is it a question how to do something?
Well, kind of.
Then you need to sit and listen.
Okay.
Guys, let me go ahead and give you one second. Some of you don't have your books. Let me go ahead and get you guys the first part of the review.
Is the quiz on top of the?
Corrections on top. Guys, if you don't have a book, I have 9-1 up here, and you can start on the review. 1 through 8, remember, just the odds. If you're just trying to do a bare minimum. And then if you have time, I would go back and try to do things also. This is like the first section of the quiz. Josh, let me see your question then.
No, yeah, I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Getting advice and help from that got a better test on than me. Yeah, that got a better test.
Hey kiddos, on the review, number 3 is hard. I'm going to go ahead and explain number 3 up here. You don't have to pay attention, but if you want to, I'm going to do number 3 right now. Number 3, now, here. I'm answering people's questions. Angel, the problem's right here if you want.
Oh, okay.
Alright guys. If you're explaining, keep it quiet. I'm trying to help. Number 3. As I look at it up here, I'm going to actually do it on my iPad. You guys see, first of all, number 3 is a square root or a cube root of the pairs of 2 or pairs of 3? Pairs of 3, because it's a cube root. So as I look at number 3, I am looking for pairs of 3. Did anyone try to break down 125? Good. 125 does end up equaling 5 times 5 times 5. Hey, that's a pair of 3, right? 4 ends up only being 2 times 2. Whatever. If that helps. So then coming back, guys, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this guy because he's hard. So I could rewrite him on top as a cube root of 5 times 5 times 5. Now, 11 x's, oh, that's rough.
That's way too many.
But wait, Wait, what if we try to use our shortcut notation? So instead of writing 5 times 5 times 5, can't I write 5 cubed?
Yes.
Now hold on. If I write 5 cubed, and my marker's a little bit thick, give me 1 second to make it thinner because it's getting kind of messy. I want you guys to think about how many pairs of 3 would be in 11 x's if I was to write it.
How many?
If I wrote 11 x's, 3,
Three.
but that wouldn't be all of them, right? You'd have,
You'd have to.
that's 3, 6, 9.
Then x squared.
Good. What about the bottom? Well, I do need to write it though. So the cubed root of 2 times 2. Now, struggle. Hold on.
You get rid
Is
of
there
the
a way I
there.
can simplify?
Yeah.
Nothing. You're gonna multiply them.
Eventually. I don't know
Oh,
whether to
yeah.
multiply now or later.
You get
But
the square root of 4. Change that to 2.
guys in the back, I think this was your question, right? Now, do you guys remember how any sort of root in the bottom is a problem?
Yes.
In the back. Any sort of root in the bottom is a problem. Now, if there were 3 2's, it wouldn't be a problem, right? Because it'd be 2 cubed and it would go away. It would cancel. But I only have 2 2's. What do we do if we don't have enough and this root is stuck? It's called rationalizing. We multiply by what we need. What we need on the bottom is 1 more 2.
Oh.
I'm just writing the 3 because that's the type of radical. It's a cube root. But I multiply by 1 more because if I multiply by 1 more, do I now have enough on the bottom? Yes. So now I'll have on the top, I'm going to have the cube root of 5 cubed. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to do the other number, the 2, right next to him because the numbers kind of stay together. Then I'm going to have a cubed root of x cubed. I have another x cubed. Oh my goodness, I have another x cubed.
What the heck?
Where'd you get that?
Wait, what, Miss Dewey?
Wait.
Okay, guys. Let me show you. Okay, pause. I was breaking up each and every piece, but I saw that I would have a number, and I did that number because I didn't want 2 2's, I wanted 3. So I'm rationalizing, multiplying by a root top and bottom, which I'm allowed to do. This one's just different because I want 3 2's. Because look at what happens. Once I have 3 2's, what's going to happen to a cubed root of 2 cubed? They're going to cancel out. The root goes away, which is what I was hoping for. Are there any? Okay, then I can talk to you later. Right now, Angel, it's time to focus. Okay, and write the word, and I can explain it later. A cubed root and a cube cancels, right? So a cubed root right here and a cube cancels. Does anybody see any more cubed roots and cubes? There's one.
Wait, how did you get the cube? It's 2 times 2.
I added another 2. I didn't add, I multiplied by another 2. I multiplied top and bottom by 1 more 2. So now I have 2 times 2 times 2. So I'm putting in, not adding with plus,
Yeah, I know.
but I'm putting in by multiplying. Now, what makes this problem hard? This is a cubed root, so we're looking for pairs of 3. We're used to looking for pairs of 2, and we have one, and we would multiply just 1 more. This one's weird because I have 2, and I need 1 more. But it's the same idea as rationalizing when I'm looking for pairs of 2. Alan, go ahead. I'm just going to keep on crossing off my cube
I
roots
have
and
like 2 questions. So,
go ahead.
first one is, will one of these be on the test?
Not with the cube.
And will the test problems be more like chapter review or the quiz we had? And then,
Like the quiz, but realize the quiz, I took like one of each kind of type. Does that make sense?
like
Yeah. But just make sure you still know how to do it. You know what I mean? So what I have left is I have a 5, I have an X, an X, an X. I'm going to have some people stuck under the roots. So I have instead, let's see, we just have to ask ourselves who is stuck under or in the house and who's outside. So 2 came outside the house because there were 3 of them. Look at the top. Isn't the 2 and the X squared still stuck because they didn't have any pairs of 3? And then who's outside? 5 broke out, and so did X times X times X, or X cubed.
Exactly.
You see it? Oh, it's okay. So the 5 broke out, and so did the X and the X and the X. So they're outside, they're free. 5X cubed. Who was stuck on under was the 2, because there's no pair or no sets of 3, and then X squared. There weren't enough X's.
Oh, this one, is there gonna be one like this one?
We already asked that, Angel, and what I answered. What I answered was not with a cube root. There might be with a square root, but not with a cube root. That's a little hard. Okay. All right, do you guys get number 3 written down, Ian?
Amen.
It was harder because of the 3, because of this. So the question to ask yourself is, would you know how to do it, Ian? Would you know how to do it if it was just a normal root without the 3?
Wait, would it be the same if it was a normal root?
Stand right behind the board. Ava and Ian, if you want. Anybody who wants, because I'm saying what the test might have, and the test won't have the cube root. So what if we were to do this problem with the square root? Would you still, now it's going to be a different answer. We're looking for pairs of what now?
2.
Okay, so when I take the square root of 5 times 5 times 5.
And from the square root.
You can put the 2. No, normally it's not done. It just, nothing is there which indicates an understood 2. Okay? Like if your mom says clean the dishes and is looking at you, she's not going to say you. She's going to say clean them, and you're like, okay, you mean me. Okay, well, Angel, that's a discussion for another time. So I have a pair of 5s. I'm just looking for pairs of 2. If there was no cube root. I already have a pair of 2s. But the problem is, what do I do with this 11? Without writing it out 11.
You break it down all the way to.
I can break it down to how many pairs of 2?
5.
5. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many are left over? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But I need 11. So I have 1 more X. So then what the property says is that I can go ahead and split this up and do a square root of 5 squared, square root of 5, and then I'm going to have a square root for each of these little squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now some of you might be able to do this faster. I'm just showing you why the answer is what it is.
Oh no, I'll help. I got you. I helped you second. I was holding his cheeseburger. I was holding your door.
No, I'll give it to you in a second. Sorry, I got distracted. So kiddos, what happens with every squared and square root? They cancel, right? Who's broken out of the square root? Who's broken out? 5 and x, x squared, x cubed, x to the 4th, x to the 5th. 5x to the 5th broke out.
That's it, isn't it?
I'm checking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's stuck.
Oh, so he stays with the 5. Okay.
And then, so those of you that want to think about like a test problem, if there was no cube root, this might be something
That's a lot
closer.
easier if it's without the cube.
Yeah, it's a little easier to think about. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out because some of you guys are trying to still do the review and I zoomed in too much. Rob, I'm just going to have you follow. Does anybody else need the one on the board or can I erase it? I can erase it. Oh, there it is. Here's Kate. Hey guys, use your time wisely. This is for you to study. If you have a question, raise a hand. Rob's asking me one, and then Aiden and coming here.
Because it says solve any method. So can I use that method? That's a good question. You saying, why are you saying Roberto? Roberto.
Rob? This is gonna be like this and take fun of you. Be excited inside. Guys, I need to work a middle school tracking today. It kind of just got thrown in the faculty meeting. So I'm gonna be in my room until 3:45 to help, but then I'm gone. I'm on the track and I can't help because I'm running the track. So I'll be here until 3:45. I'll be here right now.
Yeah, Ava's really fast. He used to watch me as fast as mine. He's like running about 6 minutes.
Hey guys, wait, pause!
Okay, we're trying to.
Pause!
We're gonna try.
Pause!
Someone already left.
Pause! I'll let you go in 1 second. Jake,
Someone already left.
pause. They should have waited. Do you have to memorize the quadratic formula?
Oh, yes. Yes.
How about the discriminant
Yes.
formula?
Yes.
How about studying how to complete the square?
Study everything.
Get out.
I'll say
use those formula.
oh, he's like a fun cat. I know. Tyler, ready to go?
Oh, I know.
Tyler, do Connor's right. Oh, okay, I like this setup.
Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar.
Okay, how do I break that? How do I break this? Okay, look. How do I break this? So I just no, because I want to go down to 7. My book.
Wait, where's George Will? He has my pencil.
No, yeah. Then I wrote all the piece on it. Then
Like, well, you could break that.